Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 26 of Celestial Journey. I've tore down the quantum ring I previously had set up in the that one dungeon dimension because I'm hopefully never going back there. And we're going to take it with us to Bethia so that we can have access to our ME network there. And I think today we're going to try to explore this place. So one thing, when you teleport here, you have to make absolutely sure you do not take that portal back. If you take that portal back, it'll delete your gear. So once I have some blocks, I think I'm just going to block off that portal so I can't, accidentally walk into it. But first, let's set up our quantum ring. Alright, I set up my Wi-Fi and I closed up the portal so we can't accidentally delete our gear. So now we have to collect some things here. Fire crystals, shiny pearls, and fire light. So let's see how much of each we need. I'm contemplating, whether or not we'll need to bring a quarry down here to pick up these things. So I think fire crystals and firelight are just stuff on the terrain. Neutron collectors, that's it. These we won't need a ton of then. It's what, 8 per, like a couple stacks will probably last the entire game. And firelight. Looks like these are also used in just those same 2 recipes, even less of them. Okay, so both of these, Fire Crystal and Fire Light, probably, if I just harvest what I see. Dang, this stuff is pretty slow to harvest. That's already 19. And if I just harvest a little bit, that'll probably suffice. As for Shiny Pearls, though, I think these drop at the mobs at the top. And yeah, we have to kill them for it. And these are a part of the Draconic Core, which is something we'll use a lot of. So these we'll definitely want to capture, a mob of and spawn them. All right, so because this is at the top layer, I'm curious, can I just go up? I'm going to try that anyway, see if anything stops me from just digging up. Up we go. Anyways, I'll cut if I run into anything. I had a better idea. Instead of digging up, why don't I just use a void quarry and, have it dig for me. So it'll dig a channel there, all the way up to 255. Much easier. Alright, so now we can go through all the levels. Level 2. Actually, if we're going all the way up to 255, my Wi-Fi won't reach. It only has 200 meter range. But let's see how high this goes. This is as high as it digs. Oh, there's flying mobs here. Hello. Oh, there's a lot of flying mobs here. Do you guys drop the right pearls? Polished pearls. Nope, we're not high enough. Alright, why did my builder stop digging then? You were supposed to keep going. Huh. Apparently I had the Y offset wrong and it dug all the way down. Good to know that there's apparently not a layer of bedrock here. How that's relevant? It probably isn't. But let's fix that Y offset. There we go. I think the preview starts here and it goes up 250 blocks from there. So that ought to do it for real. And let's actually go check out the top layer. All these fly mobs bouncing me around is pretty annoying though, I gotta admit. But I guess that's why I'm not going to stay here very long, huh? Doing this dimension without your gear and without flight and all that does seem like it'll be pretty unpleasant. Hello, builder. Anytime now, builder. Did I not turn it on? I think I did turn it on. Alright, 3rd time's a charm. Here we go. This is the top layer of Bethia by the looks of things. I guess all I have to do is find a mob here to duplicate. We can grab some of this fire crystal along the way too. So I think I've gotten the fire crystals now. I still have to get fire light and shiny pearls just drop off mobs. So we're looking for the blue crystals and mobs. Oh, there's a guy. I should make sure this guy actually drops the right stuff though, huh? Let me see, if I run into a second one, I'll kill it to make sure. Otherwise, there's 2 of those guys, so I'll just kill one and then capture the other. Those are shiny crystals, alright. Alright, so we'll take you with us. Helio. Now all that's left is the Firelight, the blue crystal. The minimap here sure is trippy. It's also not particularly useful, but anyway, still looking for a Firelight. Found some. I think they spawn as part of these, I don't know what this structure is, like a garden-like structure with a Lunic altar. Doesn't have a UI. No clue what it does. But I'm just going to harvest a little bit of it and we can be on our way. I think the quest, let's see, how much does the quest want? 7, or wants 20. Our journey to Tava Thea complete. Let's swap one of our spawners over to these Helios and turn it back on. So there we go, shiny pearls. That's all I ever asked for. I think these are the last component for Draconic cores that we were missing. Let's add these here, wait till we have 20. Well, that was not long. And we should be able to complete the quest. 36 melee damage. That's not actually a half bad sword. I might try it. And there's one quest left in the tab, so I might as well go complete it, because all I have left to do is to kill 14 more skeletons. And I guess it's a chance to test out the new sword. Even though I suspect it'll be underwhelming because it's a sword. Hi, skeleton. Well, at least it one-shot it. Now I have to like fly to the next one while avoiding the creeper. Yeah, I'm just using my gun. Although next patch the gun's probably going away because the mod that adds it is probably being removed from the pack due to misbehavior, shall we say, on the part of the mod author. So I guess I do need a new weapon. Although by then I'll probably have my draconic bow, so maybe it's not an issue. There we go, all done. Toss a coin to your witcher. I actually haven't even watched that the Netflix series on it yet. I should soon, I've been told it's good. Anyways, that's another tab complete. Some of these tabs I'll probably never finish because I won't go back and just like do stuff for the sake of doing stuff. But anyways, I think, yeah, we've unlocked the Draconic Core quest. Let's go craft some. Alright, let's see if we can do it. Missing one thing. Flying ointment. Looks like we just have to craft this. We still, our tallow is only kind of automated. I'm manually dropping. Well, that's easy enough to automate. I'll do that real quick. But poppies, we need a way to automate. I guess we'll just kill iron golems. It'll be our iron source as well. Alright, so let's craft a few of these by hand. Or a stack. And as many of these as we can. 5. Well, that's a good start. From here, we can, let's see. I don't care for the dislocator, although I do care for the advanced one, but I want to make Wyvern Cores. Wyvern Cores are made in the infusion altar, and they use the nether star in the center, which I suspect is also used in the sides of recipes, so we just have to use the rename trick. But that's not too difficult, is it? In fact, have I already done that with another star? It doesn't look like. No, I haven't. Okay. Alright, I've configured all the conduits and stuff. Let's see if we can make one. I can only craft one right now, again, because we only have the 5 Draconic cores. But here we go. I love that it just works. And it's done. So the Wyvern Core unlocks a lot of stuff. Let's see. If we just make the Crystal Matrix ingots, which shouldn't be too bad, right? It's a bunch of diamonds, a few nether stars. We're going to need some way to farm this fiery stuff, but the seed is probably the way to go. Seed's a little difficult because it takes 36 fiery metal. We're probably going to have to kill a couple hydras, or what's the other mob that drops fiery? Here's blood. The gas, right? Yeah, the hydra's easier than the gas. We'll probably have to kill a couple hydras for that, but that'll get us to the Wyvern gear and tools, although I'm not too impressed by the Wyvern stuff. With a little bit of work, we can try to get to Draconic tools, but that's maybe a bit far thinking. What I want to do first, though, is here in Blood Magic, that should unlock the Crystal Cluster. So yeah, the Crystal Cluster takes 2 Wyvern cores, some other stuff, and the Crystal Cluster here is the capstone for the tier 6 Blood Altar. So right now our altar is tier 5. If we upgrade it to tier 6, we have to put crystal cluster. I forget if it's crystal cluster or crystal cluster bricks. Either way, okay, no, the crystal cluster brick has to be decorative, right? There's no way the tier 6 capstone is beyond, is in the creative tier, I hope. I'm gonna look that up real quick. All right, yeah, the crystal clusters are the tier 6 capstone. I think this is just a crafting ingredient. Yeah, it's a creative tier crafting ingredient. That I'm not going to worry about. All right, so let's. I guess first I need to make my draconic core crafting a little bit more robust, right? If each of these takes 4, and each crystal cluster, I think, took 2 of them, right? 2 wyvern and 2 energy cores. Oh, energy cores are basically a wyvern core. So yeah, each of these takes 16. It takes a stack of draconic cores to make a single altar. Is that how that works? I think so. So we're gonna need to. So okay, step 1: make our draconic core crafting more robust. To automate the tallow for the for flying ointment, it's pretty simple. I just have a impulse hopper that I forgot to run power to. I'll do that in a second. Being powered by a timer every 80 ticks or every 4 seconds. The repeater is just a pulse lengthener, and it's turned off either by a lever or by a level emitter that says, it turns on when we have 2000. Cold iron automation is even easier. I have a ME interface providing iron ingots to a pulverizer, and then it's turned off by a level emitter, once again on threshold. Emit when levels are above 2000 cold iron, and this is on only run a redstone though, so I can also manually turn it off with a lever, should I so desire. And if I find this is too slow, I can always augment the pulverizer to run faster, but I think this should be a sufficient speed. And lastly, we have to make a iron golem to spawn. Sorry, iron golem. Alright, iron golems produce not a tremendous amount of flowers or poppies because they're, only a chance drop, but I think this is faster than we'll consume them by a couple orders of magnitude. They also produce a lot of iron, so not that we're hurting on iron, but we can be even less hurting on iron now. So with all that set up, let's see if we can request, 40 wyvern cores. Looks good. It'll have to do a bit of nested crafting. So, for example, these where is it? These fluorite stones have to all be made in the the Thaumcraft infusion. So that'll take some amount of time. But besides that, actually, I think is that the only component that's made in. Oh no, and the wyvern cores themselves, of course. But anyways, start it up. Let this run. And she's off to the races. So while these craft, there's a couple other things to do with wyvern cores that I want to prepare. First is some of the seeds. For example, Darksteel seeds. Now that we have wyvern cores, we can make these. I guess I have to make the extreme crafting table too. So let's start with, I guess we'll start by making the fiery seeds, and then we'll go to Darksteel seeds. So a single Ergas gave me 3 fiery tiers. I think I'm better off trying to find Hydras. They're also easier to kill. Well, despite what I've said, I've only found gas towers. I think that's because the gas biome is effectively huge, right? It's always surrounded by like this dark forest, so it's like this big. I'll never miss it. Whereas in these regions, I very well might have missed a hydra biome because the hydra biome is this big. Oh well. There you go. Found a hydra for the last one. I also broke my gun in the last fight, so now I'm using the sword. Alright, that looks like that ought to be enough fiery stuff to make our seeds. While our fiery seeds level up, I think we can use a little bit of our leftover fiery to make extreme crafting tables. So these are the 9x9 crafting tables. And yeah, it is 9, right? Yeah, 9x9. But in these we can craft stuff like the Darksteel seeds. And actually even void seeds, I think. Void seeds, void metal. Yeah, we have to make 1, 2, 3 by 4, 12 blocks of void metal. But after that we can craft them, and then we don't have to use our void siphon anymore. Talk about that. Let's see how it's been doing. I've left it there for quite a while, so I expect we should have at least, what, like a stack or two of void seeds? Oh dear. What's happened here? This doesn't look pretty. I'm taking damage. I only got 13 void seeds out of it, but it's created a thing. Huh. I'm gonna scan it all. So it looks like if I get rid of this thing in the middle, the rest of the taint will go away. Giant taint seed. Oh, it has health. Pew, 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 pew. Did it drop anything? Video. Alright, and then the rest of the taint will go away over time. But anyways, I need a little bit more void seed, I think. So I'm just going to use the rest of my causality collapsers to get enough void seeds to make the mystical agriculture void seed. Will 7 get me there? Let's find out. For the first of our tier 4 seeds, we have Darksteel. It's probably not the most useful one now that I think about it, because we have, you know, a Darksteel system that's plenty robust. It's not exactly like our Darksteel system uses valuable resources to make it, but it's the one I decided to make first. So, planted here, we can kick off our auto 10-10-10 system and let it run. Next up, void metal seeds. We no longer have to go collapsing rifts for void metal now. This will really be, this will help most when it comes to making the machines in Witchery, because they take a lot of void metal. So I suspect that Darksteel seeds are done. Oh yeah, Darksteel seeds have been done for a while. I'll continue to make seeds off camera for all the resources that we need. There's like probably 20 more various, you know, seed types. But for now, I'm switching over to crafting these crystal clusters with our Wyvern Cores. So I'm making 5. 4 of them will be used to upgrade our altar to tier 6, and 1 of them will be used to upgrade our blood orb to the transcendent one. I don't know if there's any, you know, recipes that specifically require the transcendent orb, but it just has the advantage of having a higher capacity, right? Because right now our blood orb, if I check our divination sigil, has I think 10 million capacity. It's actually, if I take my blood orb out of this altar for too long, it'll use up all 10 million of that, and then, you know, I start getting debuffs and stuff. So basically I have to leave the orb in here, and if I want to like craft runes, I can take the orb out for short periods of time. Short being like 8 hours, but I mean, I can't just, you know, leave my, take the orb out and then step away forever. So having a higher capacity with a larger blood orb will help, and now, once we get tier 6 altars, it's more reasonable to build multiple altars, so I'll probably start working on that as well. So I think the tier 6 altar gets us 19 more runes per side, times 4 sides, 19 times 4, 76. We'll split them 50-50 between runes of sacrifice and speed. So 19 times 2, 40 minus 2, 38. Wow. That's simple math. I shouldn't struggle with that so much. Anyways, let's embed those recipes and then we can craft them. Right now, according to our divination sigil, this is a tier 5 altar, which is what we expect. I already placed all the runes on, so putting the capstone should upgrade it to tier 6. Should upgrade it to tier 6. There we go. And now let's see if our last one has finished yet. It's crafting. All right, so in a moment when this finishes, we can make our blood orb. All right, let's go for it. There's a chance, there's a chance I have too many speed runes and that this thing is draining the altar. So I'm going to have to, oh no, it looks like we're still able to complete. Perfect. So I'm curious how much the total limit of this blood orb is. It looks like though right now my ratio of speed runes to accelerate or to sacrifice runes is almost perfect. Like I'm not wasting blood by having too many, you know, by having it cap off, and I'm not really wasting time by having the blood altar get completely drained. I think ideally I wanted to swap like a couple of the speeds for sacrifices, but honestly I'm not that, you know, particular. But oops, that's not what I want. I want this. I think the limit, let's see, the previous one was 10 million, right? So this is probably at least 50 million. I'll leave it in there, run a while, and we'll see. So I mentioned before that I've wanted multiple altars. now that we have all the infrastructure in place, I think it's time to build it. There's really two ways to do multiple altar setups. We can either give every altar this ritual, the whatever it's called, the one that generates life essence. Or we can have one altar be the altar that's dedicated to generating life essence, and then have that one supply life essence to all the other ones. There's pros and cons of each, but I like to have the single provider altar design, because this way, your provider altars, doesn't need any, say, it doesn't need any of these speed runes, and you get to really load up on runes of sacrifice. On the other hand, none of your other altars need any sacrifice runes. They get to load up on, speed runes or whatever else. That said, there's still a bit of I guess you call it like a rune tax. Every altar needs, let's see what runes it is. So of these runes, there's a few that help with moving blood around. I think you need runes of displacement. This affects how much blood can be moved per blood moving event, let's call it. Basically, your blood altar has actually a hidden secondary tank that is 10% the size of your primary tank, and you can only withdraw blood from that secondary tank. So, yeah, what was I saying? The displacement rune affects how much blood is moved from the primary tank to the secondary tank. Then there's the acceleration rune, which affects how often blood is moved from the primary tank to the secondary tank. So normally it happens once per second, like once per 20 ticks. Each acceleration rune reduces it by 1 tick. So with 1 acceleration rune, it's once per 19 ticks, up to 19 acceleration runes, which is, once per tick. And there a third one? No, I think it's just those two. But with those two, we can then instead of, like as far as the rune tax goes, you're taxed by saying you have to, practically speaking, you have to have 19 acceleration runes and some number of displacement runes. But I think that you end up using less acceleration and displacement runes than you do these speed runes, or sacrifice runes. So you come out ahead. You end up having more functional runes. A second significant advantage is that it allows you to hold a blood buffer. So the blood coming out of your primary, sacrifice altar, you can store it in some like very large tank, like I forget what they're called, but there's a deep storage tank. Yeah, I forget what it's called. I mean, there's the blood magic tanks, but these are unreasonably difficult to make. There we go. They're called Blackhole Tanks, and these hold, a ridiculously large amount of fluid. I think it's like 2.17 trillion millibuckets, and that can serve as a buffer for, if you suddenly have crafting that uses a lot of fluid, well, the black hole tank can buffer it, even if your sacrifice cannot keep up in the short term. So to that end, I'm going to craft a lot of runes and set up a second altar. And I have room for, multiple altars going this way, but we're going to start with 2, I think. 1 for sacrifice. Well, let's start with 3. 1 for sacrifice, so this altar will become our sacrifice altar. 1 to always hold our blood orb, so I don't have to, jiggle taking our blood orb in or out. And 1 to do crafting. So I have my 3 altars set up, with the exception of the crystal clusters, which are still crafting. Those should be done shortly. But I've run into a bit of a snag on my primary altar here, my sacrifice altar. I can't withdraw the fluid from it fast enough. So if I pull out my seer sigil, we can see that we're extracting, I'm pretty sure it's exactly 1k a tick, which I think is the limit of the fluid extraction I'm doing. So let's see, if I break this block, we can see it at least briefly. So you see here, I have a liquid translocator with the glowstone upgrade, which moves about 1k a tick. And I suspect it's actually exactly 1k a tick. So, however, we generate more than 1k a tick life essence on average. So we're actually wasting some of our generated life essence. So I'm going to need to come up with some way to move fluid faster than that. And I think that transfer nodes with speed upgrades can be faster than that. So I'm gonna make fluid transfer nodes and the like the super speed upgrade. So there's 3 tiers, right? The tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. I'm gonna go for the ultimate tier and see what happens if I stick 64 of these in there. On second thought, I think 1k a tick transfer rate might be enough for the time being, so I'm not gonna bother with the upgraded stuff yet. Maybe later. Anyways, now what I'm doing is we have this Blackhole Tank, holds up to 2.14 whatever trillion millibuckets, and we'll transfer that from there into a Ender Tank, and we'll use that Ender Tank to power all the other altars. I'm kind of curious, how fast is auto output on the Ender Tank? Is it fast enough? That's not how you turn on auto output. Just like that, right? Oh, I guess auto output doesn't work in this. Okay, so I guess we're not using auto output. Wait, no, it is working. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Right now, this is a tier 5 altar because I haven't put the tier 6 capstones on yet, but all the displacement and acceleration runes are on the outside. So that means none of them are being seen. 7 of our capstones are done, which is enough to complete this altar. So let's put these on and see what effect that has. So now how quickly is this filling? This should be upgrading to a tier 6 altar any second now. Any second now. No? What's wrong? I think this pillar here is just 1 tile too short, which is a problem. So that should make it a tier 6 altar. There we go. But it looks like, yeah, its auto output is way too slow. We're going to have to use translocators to move the blood. That's what I expected. It looks like it does 100 a tick for auto output. Alright, so in this altar, the blood orb, the transcendent blood orb, which normally holds 30 million, let's see, we're a bit short of that. It's increased by 2% per rune of the orb, and there's just about 100 of them. I think it's a hair over 100, so that's triple the value. So it'll hold just about 90 million. Now, I forgot that I actually have to put speed runes on this too. This can't just be runes of the orb, otherwise it only fills at 50 LP a tick, which is way too slow. So I'm going to replace a handful of these with speed runes, just so that we can, get our blood orb filled faster. And I'm still getting all these Thaumcraft flux events. Maybe at some point I'll build the things that'll clean myself of flux. Flux is basically insanity, so I'm literally going insane while I'm doing these things. So with the speed runes now up, I put I think it's 13 by 4, so 52 of them. We now fill our orb at somewhat looks like 600-ish LP a tick, which is faster than we're consuming LP, which is the only thing that really matters. It just means that now I don't have to ever worry about micromanaging my orb, right? This orb stays in this altar 100% of the time, and our LP network just effectively will almost always stay full. Next up, I have to take all the crafting stuff that's sitting underneath this altar, and I'll move it over to that one. So, because, the first altar there has no speed runes on it, it's not a very efficient crafting altar. However, since this one has a bunch of speed runes on it, it'll be a very efficient, very fast crafting altar. So, I'm thinking I'll set up this altar to handle all passive crafting. So that's just crafting of these slates. And then maybe I'll make yet another altar to handle on-demand crafting. That sounds reasonable to me, at least. Right, I moved the drawers and stuff over here to our crafting altar. I left out the redstone logic this time. I think we simply produce blood fast enough that it's not something I have to be concerned about. However, I noticed there's something very weird going on. Look at this crafting task right now. It's trying to craft... Oh, that's what it is. I forgot to set this as single item. Okay, I was like, why does it take so much blood to craft what it's trying to do? It doesn't make sense. That's because it was trying to craft a whole stack at a time. So, I am once again going insane. This is the one flux event that I really dislike because it has a chance to spawn that liquid. You see that there? And I have, depending on where I am in the base, I sometimes can't deal with having liquids drop all around because liquids can break like redstone, and I don't want my redstone to get broken. I don't really mind the flux it releases because in the end it's not a lot. Maybe next episode I'll finally go through the effort of dealing with my insanity so that I'm no longer insane. That seems like a decent idea, doesn't it? Huh. Anyways, as I was saying, now that I have a single, at least I think I have single item on here, it's crafting the runes. So this altar will passively craft, all of these runes, the 5 basic types of runes, and then I'll probably set up at least 1 or 2 more other altars to handle on-demand crafting for stuff like these inscription tools come to mind because they're used in the Britannia runes. We probably want a system that is always, that keeps a stock of various of these 4 Britannia runes, because we're getting close to the point where we're going to start wanting to tackle like these gems, and these use a lot of Britannia runes. Anyways, let's wrap up this episode here. Between episodes, I'll queue up a bunch of stuff like, I don't know, can I do 1,000 draconic cores? I don't know how to make glass bottles of all things. But yeah, I'll queue up a bunch of like draconic and wyvern cores so that when we come back next time, we can really dive into draconic evolution. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.